Yeah. Hi, everyone. So we'll start with this session, this panel discussion on AI in Wi-Fi. So AI is the hot topic these days. Everywhere you go, all the articles that you read since you wake up in the morning is all about AI, right? So AI is changing a lot of things, how we develop, how in our productivity and everything. But now that we are in Wi-Fi summit, let's talk about what role AI has to play in Wi-Fi. Okay. So while I was preparing for this, I did some research that how AI being used as of today. So okay, this takes time.
Function.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what the research shows that this is how, again, this was done doing the deep research from Grok, OpenAI, and all. So basically, this is what it came up with, that these are the core AI ML applications that are used in Wi-Fi systems these days from different vendors. So it ranges from RRM to client steering, anomaly detection, predictive maintenance, right? And then I also tried to figure out what all these features are, from different vendors, right? So it came up with this very nice summary of what features different vendors have built over the last few years, right? So this is mostly on enterprise, because at that time I was doing research only for the enterprise products in the AI space. But then, I started discussing, thinking about, what it will do for the home users and all. So now, with that, we have a very good panel here with three very unique vantage points. We have Privinesh from Aprecomm. So they are. Most of their customers are ISP customers. Obviously, they are also into enterprise, but we'll get some ideas from him how AI is helping them in the ISP space for home users. We have Chinmay from Mist. Mist is for the enterprise market, and then how it is helping them for the enterprise Wi-Fi. And we have Anand from Qualcomm, so we'll get some perspectives from the chipset maker. Okay. So we'll start with practical AI, right? So the way we'll go is that we have some questions, and then I'll request panelists to answer some of these questions from their perspective, and then we'll go to the audience, okay? So the very first question that I want to ask panelists is that, what are the top AI use cases for your customers? And if you can be very specific, not just that, AI is helping us a lot, but what are the tangible outcomes that you have seen for your customers in the space that, where your customers are? So maybe you can start with.
Hello, Privinesh here from Aprecomm. So the question related to it's like for the, let's take enterprise or the ISP customers. What is the benefit we are providing is to reduce the churn rate. It's like when the quality of experience is bad, the people used to switch the ISPs from one ISP to the better ASP. The churn rate will be reduced, and the what we provide is reduce the truck roll for the ISPs. They don't have to go to the end customer and understand the issues which they are facing. And for the end customer, they will get the problem which they are facing. If they have issues in connectivity, we will have the information in their fingerprints, what is the problem they are facing, what action they have performed as causing this issue. This is the two level of benefits which we provide for our customer.
Okay, so from the enterprise perspective,
Do you want to continue?
So from the enterprise perspective, what we have seen that every OEMs today, right, they collect a lot of data. But whenever the support staff, when they get a ticket, the problem happens is they don't know from where to start the troubleshooting, right? So first of all, what we did is, first of all, for AI, a good AI, you need a good data, right? The data should be capable enough to put in some models, right? So that it can be trained well, correct? So what we did is we collect a lot of metadata from the customer network, right? And when we say metadata, we don't collect any client data. It's like management and control frames. And with the help of that, what we did, we have segregated into different SLEs in case of Juniper Mist. And we feed the data in the data science toolbox. And based on that, we have different type of models, like for supervised learning, reinforcement learning, unsupervised learning, and so on. So based on that, we can do an anomaly detection and all, right? So we can pinpoint that if it is a client is facing a problem, it's because of coverage, it's because of roaming, it's because of throughput, and all, and so on, right? So that's how the AI is changing the life of the customer, end customer, as well as it is making the life easy for the tech people also.
Okay. So, Anand, if you have questions.
I'll give you my perspective,
Sure.
okay? And I'm going to take the liberty to be a bit candid here, okay? I still believe that AI is still a smokescreen out there, okay? The use cases that we typically are bringing forth, I mean, thanks to my industry colleagues here, are typical problems that we have, conventional problems we have today, and we're trying to figure out, oh, I have something called AI, how can I solve it with AI now? And it makes sense. I think that's a natural evolution of where we're trying to get to, right? And that's pretty much what is happening around the industry as we, as a chip vendor, solution provider, as we try to see it. But having said that, as an industry solution provider, the way we look at AI is, yeah, sure, this is a start point. I mean, there is, I think, still a long journey ahead of us, but the start point is the natural things for humans to think is, how can I use AI to solve the conventional problems I have today? And as a chipset solution provider, we are thinking about how to provide the right platforms, right, to enable those inference engines to make that possible, right? In my opinion, at least, the killer app for AI is yet to be found. I mean, we're trying to get there. I think, hope we will get there. We'll use some of the platforms as we go along. Even as chip vendors, we're trying to innovate to figure out how to make it more power optimized and cost optimized to give those power at the edge, right? So you can do that. So go ahead.
I want to respond to your point. I think so. The traditional methods, we use a fixed threshold for finding the issues, which is not a real thing in the real environment, because the environment is dynamic, congestion, and lot of means everywhere you will see wireless device. And depending on the environment, we cannot take a fixed threshold. We always have to have a dynamic decision making. So there is already we have a in-house engine, which is like application experience impact engine. What it does is, what is the application which the user is running? Let's take if it is Netflix or a YouTube. The demand of the Netflix and the YouTube is different. Like, or a Zoom. Let's take a Zoom call will have a jitter when you have a latency. Or if it is a Netflix, it can download and you may not have any problems. So this engine, which is like, we have fed a lot of data to it, and what we do is, all this computation, the model which we generate from our GPU, and we create some algorithm, we keep this algorithm in the edge device. And the edge device provides the input, and the decision will be taken by the algorithm whether to, what is the problem it is having, and what is the possible decision should take it. So I think so, we already have seen the benefit of using AI in the edge devices, and we have a real use case where our customers have seen a multiple improvement in their speed and the data consumption. So I think it is already observed, and our solution is already running in the field. That's my point of view.
Sure. If I can take 10 seconds to respond to that. I did not mean that it is not beneficial. What I meant is the problems we are trying to solve, for example, the problems that you just mentioned, we had, and I can say this, I think, we had an IP in Qualcomm which was doing it without AI even in the past. Okay, we still do that in our own way, but now it's like exactly what you said. We're trying to now use AI to achieve similar things, right? So that's the point I was making, right? So the set of problems we're trying to solve, make it better with AI today, but is that the right use of AI as we kind of see it? For example, if you look at the enhancements or the advancements we see in AI are primarily in this form of neural network, computer vision, and sensing, RF, cognitive, whatever, right? I think that's where the strides are yet to be made, and that's where I think the real benefits are yet to come. That's the point of the mic.
Because we use, because for a Wi-Fi, it is not a single parameter which affects the quality of experience. It's multiple parameter and varied environmental factors also there. That's why we use the engine, so that it takes all the factors and provide a more suitable decision. That's
sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. In fact, even I had the same thing, because wherever I read about AI in this space, RRM comes at the top, and Qualcomm has been doing RRM on the access point for a long time, right? Now, let's say we have some cloud ML algorithms which everybody claims that it does it better, right? So how do we measure that, right? And how much better it is doing,
so,
right?
Yeah, I can respond to that. So just like he has explained, right? So AI can be run on the edges as well as on the cloud side. So what we do differently is we are running it on the edge, but in a very light form. But when we do it on the cloud, right, because once you get a data, you have to train the model also continuously, because as RF is changing, client is changing, their experience is changing, and the application is also coming every day, new applications are coming in, right? So what we do differently is in the cloud, we use a reinforcement learning algorithm where we train our model. It's based on what the action you have taken and what is the state of it. And after doing the changes, you should have a capability to see the changes, right? If it is a good change or bad change, right? So what we do to quantify it, what we did, we have an SLEs again. We see what, after our changes, what is the coverage, what is the throughput, and what is the roaming statistics, right? If it is affected in a positive way, it is a good change. If it is affected in a negative way, it's a bad change. So in that case, what we do, so example, if we made some changes with 7 days of data and it is a bad change, right? And we can pinpoint which clients is having a more impact in that particular change. Yeah. So in that case, what we do, we change it. So based on the capacity SLE, we see if there is a good change or bad change. If it is bad change, we go for more data. So for 1 month of data, and then we see how we can do it better. So.
My point of view, the RRM is very instantaneous, or it's like very. So the decision taken is not historical based or the very intelligent based. It's like they see some issues in a current moment and they take a decision instantaneously. What happens is, let's take a customer who doesn't. The environment is dynamic. It is not fixed. So when you take a decision with the current instance, it may not be a good one, because once the changes happen, like a channel change, which is like, it was running in 149 with less congestion, suddenly congestion came and we switched to 36. But the 36 doesn't have congestion, but it doesn't give the maximum throughput. So this kind of changes happens when you take a decision instantaneously. Let's take, in our model, what we do is we have a historical learning how this environment of that specific customer, what is the pattern happens in him. If we instantaneous any congestion increase and decrease, we should not take a faster decision. It should be with the improvement of QoE across the multiple interval. If you degrades when you change, we don't recommend it to perform it. We keep it them. It may be instantaneous fluctuation, so that you will get a better experience for a longer duration than instantaneous recovery.
Yeah, I agree to that. So just like we do two type of RM changes, it is a scheduled one which we do it from the cloud, right? And sometimes if there is a DFS event happens, right? So you don't have any other option, you have to change it. So the AI can run in the edges as well as on the cloud, right? So this is one of the example where we do it.
Yeah, so I'll come back to that, but in the interest of time, right? So I think you all have answered one question that, what's better now? So in some ways it is better because you have some historical data. What do you think is still hard to do with AI? What are the problems that, it's still hard to do?
The most important problem which we are facing is how to use the computation power and the memory which is there in the edge device. It's like our AI works on the application detection. So you detecting an application or the things which is, it's little consuming, CPU consuming and memory consuming. That was the problem which we have faced. Yeah.
So as the industry started, right, it started with the CLIs, then UI came in, and now we are in a generation where we talk about generative AI and all that stuff, right? So today we are using UI. Tomorrow we will be just using one chatbot, and we will asking the chatbot to do the things, right? Today when you do a generative AI thing, you just give some prompt to it, it gives some output to it. It can be text to SQL or anything like that. But now most of you have heard about the term agentic AI, right? Now we are going in a phase where system will think, it will optimize, and it will take the decision by its own, right? For doing that, you should have an efficacy enough that, okay, whenever there is a change made by the system, it should be, the efficacy should be 99.99%, right, to make any change. Otherwise, it will be a bad change.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, getting to that 99.9% is still hard with agentic AI.
No, so if you talk about Juniper Mist, what we do, so we have a page where it's a Marvi sections. So we might not show everything today, but whatever we are showing, it's 100% true. So there is no false positive in that. So in future, in coming months or so, we are going to give a tab over there. So the customer trust our action, because we have to take the customer confidence first, right? That whatever we are showing, it's 100% true. So that the system can take a decision automatically. For example, bad cable, missing VLANs, coverage hole, right? So we will give a tab where a customer will say, okay, I understand what you are saying is correct. You make the change automatically, so no human has to do the changes on the system, right? For those things.
Okay, yeah. Actually, when I asked this AI versus traditional methods, right? So you gave example of bad cabling and all. So my follow-up question is that, some of these things need not be solved by AI, right? So some of these things are very deterministic. You check few things and you tell on the dashboard that this is the problem.
Correct.
So what does AI have to do here? I mean, obviously for some things where you need historical data,
Correct.
you may need AI, but for few things, you don't need AI, right? Those are very
so here,
rule-based things.
So some things which need a human intervention. If there is a bad cable which is identified by the model, right? You have to send someone to change the a cable. But the good part is here. So example, you have 75,000 switches. You don't have to check each and every cable, right? System is already running 24/7. It's showing you that the cable is faulty. You just have to send someone and just change the cable.
Yeah.
That is one use case.
Yeah, I
Second
understand
use case is like there are some VLANs are missing, right? Or say some port is stuck, right? You have connected one IP camera and it is not sending the feeds, right? Now system understands that the work of camera is to send the feeds, right? If it is not sending the feeds, so the thing what the admin will do, it will bump the port, first thing. Okay. So these things can be done by the AI initially.
Okay.
Available where you can, for example, you can license from somebody, or you could, much easier ways to do it than AI, at least as of today, as we see it, right? Third, from a platform perspective, we see challenges in terms of, it's kind of an unknown. We're trying to figure it out. How much TOPS do I put in my processor to do edge AI? For example, with the optimized models that are coming out every single day, we see new things coming out, right? Which is a good thing. I mean, that's how the technology evolves so rapidly. So what is the right kind of inference engine? What is the compute capacity I need to put in to accelerate? That's a struggle we are having. We're just taking a step. Today, I just take a swag and say, okay, this is what might be required. You know what, 2 years from now, when I tape out the chip, it has moved on so much that it's not enough, right? And the last but not the least, power, right? How much power is it going to consume? Is it going to be acceptable at the edge level, right? So I see those as kind of the challenges, but that's kind of a challenge for any evolving technology as we go forward.
Thanks.
So I agree with you on all the points, and that's the reason there is one question like that AI should be a premium feature or a traditional one, right?
Yeah.
So we have to collect data, lot of data, a good data first of all, not data, good data. Then we should have a computing power, processing power, and all. Your cloud should be so elastic that today if there is one AP and tomorrow there is 100,000 APs, right? It should able to collect all the data and then process it, right? So that's the reason. In my opinion, personally, we should not sell these premium features within a traditional cost, right? Because at the end, the efforts are required. You need a team. You need a lot of AI ops team and all, right, to manage and all this stuff. So the cost is involved. So it should be a premium license. It should not be a traditional one.
Okay, great. So for now, I'll move to audience. I think based on these points, maybe we'll take one or two questions. Or your comments on this. So basically my question is, with all this AI on our dashboards and all, right, do you just trust them, or most of the time you see and then you want to verify and then either override or accept that? Or do IT teams more in control or less in control with these AI things? So anyone has any comment on this? What do you feel about this?
Yeah, so the question
not
is
allowed to
for,
ask questions, is he? Okay.
question is for Anand. So why isn't a chipset vendor not looking at the more fundamental blocks where, I don't want to call it AI, I'll call it machine learning for the lack of a better word. So something like board data file, right? Why can you not make it a self-tuning board data using machine learning? That's locally in your control, that's on the chip, it can tune itself, small models can solve that problem. Isn't there more simpler things that, cost-effective things that AI can do? I'm throwing this at you because I see this as a simple, cost-effective thing which shouldn't add cost but value in return.
I didn't quite get, what did you say about board, what is that?
Self-tuning board data files.
Okay, sure. I'm not at liberty to talk about that, but there are initiatives within Qualcomm that are kind of aimed at those, not just board data files, but even in other areas that we are trying to invest. Your point is valid. So those are the areas we know that we're kind of going after as in-house, that we are kind of developing. My response was more from the industry perspective and a platform standpoint, where the end use cases, the user perceivable use cases can be achieved. That's what I meant. But your point is right. I mean, as all chip vendors, all will be looking at it internally also, and those initiatives are on in Qualcomm as well. And as the next generations of chip come out, you would probably see some aspects of it as well.
Right. And my other question is for Aprecomm friends.
Sure.
Anybody on the Wi-Fi network optimization side of things, we all agree that Wi-Fi as a network is local and the learnings and the efficiencies derived are local. So why do I need large volumes of data from across the globe to be able to effectively tune this with AI? Why can I not do it with much less?
Yeah, the question, why you are collecting the data, I have given the most important point in the beginning. It is like our main customer is the ISP or enterprise. For ISP, to reduce the chunk rate and to reduce the truck roll. So how we reduce the chunk rate or the truck roll? Truck roll, why ISP is getting truck roll? Because like any customer who doesn't have knowledge of wireless, he has facing issue like he cannot connect to the client. I can give you a use case in this session itself. Our colleague has told about the WPA and WPA connection issues. If you ask any admin or someone, he also doesn't know these kind of issues are there. And if you, for ISP, the only problem is the client is not getting connected. And where the problem is, nobody will understand. Since our edge algorithm who resides in the edge knows what is the packet exchange happens and which was the packet missed. And we will report to the ISP that the ePOL exchange is not completed, and this is the problem why the customer cannot connect. That's simple as that. Because of the edge integration which we have done, we get the minute detail how the communication between the end customer who use the mobile phone, and how the AP responds, have the clear data, and this data has to be given for the ISP to improve their customer base and address their customers' issue very effectively, very specifically. And this is needed, 100%.
So my question...
I think I have answered your question.
Privinesh, the question to you, is that AI going to be killer?
Can I see? Yeah.
Lavanya. So, is that AI going to be killer in case of ISP? Because, so recently also I faced an issue. I had a VPN enabled router to connect to my home network. The issue was the Airtel needs to give me a static IP, which they were not able to figure it out. They were doing, like, even though the customer and technical support is coming, they look at the data, they say it is getting connected. It's connected all the time, they say it, and they were not able to ultimately figure it out until I say I need a static IP.
Yeah, I think so. You should tell your Airtel that you have to use the Aprecomm solution in there.
See, you're not a salesperson. I want an answer for this.
Yeah, we can provide you that.
No, what I'm saying, they were also using some kind of AI, but they were, I mean, the issue is the Wi-Fi is connecting. I'm not getting the internet. They were not able to identify that. It is still showing it's connected. IP is also there. The VPN is not getting connecting, which they are not able to identify. Then how these kind of situations, the AI is going to make it kind of, it will have some data.
Yeah,
not
AI
really
is the one part of the solution, that our solution is integrated in the edge, where the communication between your AP and the client has been, we have the, what is the state machine happens, what does the communication happens. So we understand whether any of the path, any failure is happening, we trigger and we inform our cloud that there is some problem with that. That trigger, we will trigger and we will tell that the customer has issues in connecting to the internet. That's it.
Okay, so we have a couple of more slides, points that you want to discuss. In 5 seconds, if anyone has any comment on, do you feel more in control or less with AI? If anyone wants to comment on that, otherwise we'll just move to the next one. Okay, so we'll come back to this later. Okay.
Prabhash,
Okay.
I want to answer your question,
Sure.
right? So whenever, as I said, right, we need a customer confidence first to make any changes automatically, right? So again, it comes to the efficacy. Customer, so once you have that license, it should be a premium license in my opinion. Now, when customer using it, it knows that, okay, whatever the actions or whatever the recommendation system is giving, it is 100% truth. It's nothing wrong in that. So he should enable that knob to make the changes automatically.
Okay, great. Okay, so now let's move to the next one. In fact, this question came in as a question from the audience also. So where should AI actually run? And I asked this question because we have missed where I believe most of things run on cloud in microservices. AP sends all the data to the cloud. If I remember correctly, last year's Aprecomm's presentation was more about the hybrid model where we consume few state machines on the access point and then send some data to the cloud. That's kind of hybrid solution. And Edge AI is obviously everything happening on the access point, right? So what do you guys think about this? Where should AI really?
Yeah, we recommend hybrid mode in which the edge level computation decision
just,
should be done.
if you can also mention pros and cons of.
If we are doing everything in the cloud, the amount of data which we are sending to the cloud and the amount of inference which you have to do in the cloud and the storage you have to do, it becomes impossible to use get a metadata which is useful for identifying the problem and providing a recommendation. If you have an edge intelligence which gives very faster understanding of the problem and gives a cleaner and better, because the resource of the edge can be utilized when they are idle, and it will be very, very effective. So we recommend hybrid model.
Okay, great. So again, it depends upon the use cases first, right? What all use cases we are looking for. As he explained, right, it requires a lot of computation, processing power, and the actual power also required, right, to run all those things, apart from the data side, which we are talking about. Not everything you can run on the edge unless we reach to a phase where our models are so much lighter and so much efficient that you can run it on a small hardware, in my opinion, right?
Okay.
Today, in an era where we are just started off, and in this era, we need a computation power because our models is still, as he explained, every day new models comes in, right? So there will be a phase will come 5 years, 10 years, I don't know the time, but there will be a model efficient enough which we are running today on the cloud. You can run a lighter version of it on the edges.
Okay, so one question. So when you say it depends on the use case, are there any use cases right now where you use some kind of intelligence on the access point, or you, at least for your cases, everything is sent to the cloud right now?
So I can give you one example here. So as we run an RRM, right? If we run a scheduled RRM from the cloud side, right? And if we also run a local RRM, if say there is a coachal interference, and if there is a DFS radar event or some Wi-Fi interference comes in, because every AP has a dedicated sensor also, which take care of all the RF 24/7. So yeah, we do it on the edge also. But again, as I said, depending upon the use cases, it may vary, because we are not in a phase where we have a model intelligent enough which can be run on a very small nodes in an efficient way.
I see it as an evolution. Okay, so we started in the cloud. That is the only place you can run everything. To the point where we are saying we can do smartly some subset of it in the edge. I think the future is the edge. It may, yeah, we are in the cloud. We're getting to a hybrid now. I think as the compute powers improve or efficiencies improve, models improve, I think the edge is the future.
Great. So continuing on that, right, my next question is that right now, Edge AI is targeted for home users, or you are already, this is for enterprise users also?
Yeah, enterprise is a good question, right? Again, the jury is out there because of the, because it is dynamic. And as we speak, the big enterprises are trying to figure out what the model, because there's a new thing that they're trying to adapt. The jury is out there. I think I see a lot of benefits doing it in the edge, but again, for enterprise, it's debatable because it's all, they have high-speed backends as well. It's like I think he was pointing out, it all translates to the amount of data you need to transfer between your cloud versus your controller versus your edge. I think if there is a new breakthrough where that can be optimized, maybe it'll go to the cloud, or maybe that's why I said potentially maybe edge is the future.
Okay, but not only that, right? So there's a difference, how APs are powered at homes and at enterprises, right? Because we have PoE switches and all. So I'm assuming that, if we are running inferencing on the access point, then it will consume more power,
no, absolutely. Memory. It's a function of all of that. That's the reason I said that it depends on the evolution of it. And like I said, chipset providers also working very hard on how to reduce power and increase processing power at the edge. I think that will happen. Those strides will naturally happen. If those happen, like I said, few years from now, edge will be the right platform to go.
Okay. So right now, Edge AI is mostly for home users, but we are working towards, making it for enterprise, right?
Say that question again.
Right now, the Edge AI is mostly for home access point, right? Right now.
Yeah, actually today, if you look at it, it's mostly on the cloud. The edge is kind of taking off. We have new use cases where we can run stuff on the edge. I'm talking only about inferencing. I'm not talking about training the models. That probably still has to happen at the back end.
Yeah.
I'm purely talking about inference that can happen on the edge, right? So inference, I think it's starting to take off, that a lot of models, as the models evolve, starting to run on the edge. But my view is a lot of these use cases more and more will start getting offloaded into the edge because of the strides we will make in the coming years.
Yeah, I still go with the hybrid because the intelligence which providing solution for the end user customer is one perspective, one solution, but there is another solution which we provide is to give a overall view for the our ISP or the customer, how the overall deployment happens, what are the best performing device, and what are the areas they are performing, so what we do is, depending on the CPUs which is working and what is the bandwidth the customer using, we can provide the recommendation, what are the CPU which can be deployed in their deployment, and if the customer is using a band which is limited for them, but their consumption can be increased, so we can tell the customer to have a mesh solution or a advanced CP for them so that they can cater their end customer. This information has to be in the cloud. So that's why we recommend hybrid for both ISP and the enterprise.
Okay. So my next question is that edge is definitely getting better, and over the next few years, it will definitely get better and better, right? So how will it change the strategy for enterprise players or like Aprecomm, right? Or the cost structure, because right now a lot of cost is associated with how much data you are sending to the cloud, because you have to store, you have to process. But let's say edge AI becomes more powerful, it is taking a lot of local decisions. Then do you have any thoughts on how will it change the strategy?
It again comes to how the evolution happens, right? Or how faster it happens, right?
Okay.
So if, as he mentioned, and he also mentioned that hybrid model is the way to go, right, today. But it again depends what type of processing power we are going to get at the end on the edge devices. Because see, we have to see other perspective also. It's not only about the technology. It's also about the cost, right?
Yeah.
If you are running some things, so say today someone is running something on the edge, right? But he is costing too much, right? At the same time, someone is running on the cloud and a lower cost, right? So from the end customer perspective, or from the enterprise customers or ISP customers also, it all comes to the cost at the end, right? It doesn't matter in which part of the world you are, right? So again, in my opinion, it depends upon how the evolution happens with the time, and according to the cost also should be optimized, right? It should not be high. If say I go and I say, oh, I will do everything on the edge, but you have to pay a premium for it. Customer will not agree to it, even though the technology is top notch. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Any other comments?
I just want to clarify something that I said earlier. What I meant when I said hybrid edge is the future, I meant from an inference standpoint. I think the training still has to happen on the cloud. I just want to clarify.
Yeah, I think that is clear. Okay, so one question for audience, and maybe you can raise hands. I'm very curious to know that based on all the AI systems that you have seen, how has been your experience? I mean, has your experience really improved after the introduction of AI, or it's mostly like it's a good thing to have on the dashboard, but it does not really help? If any of you has any experience on that, maybe we can.
Yeah, the experience has been good. It's good to have AI rather than not having it and making use of it. But at the same point, I will be worried. I will not be 100% be dependent on AI, because my network is in production and I don't want to take a risk of entirely depending on AI. But it has been a positive side as of now. Why? Because it is helping me solve my issues. It is helping me detect the issues, and at the same time, it is trying to fix me. So at the end, it is helping me. But I will be dependent on the first and second step, where it is helping me detect the issue and it will give me more answers on it. But I will not be dependent on fixing the issue. Maybe it might go something wrong and it will get my production down. So at present, it is good. And going forward, maybe if I know that it is doing a good job, then I will be dependent that yes, you can go ahead and make the changes, where I can be completely dependent on AI. But in present world, I will not be 100% dependent. It will be like 70-30.
Okay, so basically you do not trust the actions, but definitely the information and detection.
Exactly.
Thanks. Anubhav?
I mean, no, I'm just answering his question. So let me give a view from the station's perspective. So from the station, the context is better known in the station than in the access point or elsewhere, because in station we know about what kind of application runs and so on. So we are able to leverage AI to know the context better, to know the pattern better, and we are also able to improve the quality of service and all those things. So definitely AI has been helping quite a lot in the QoE, the experience point of view. And the only, what I can say, the cons is so we are not able to go beyond a light model. So even if you talk about access point or device, what we can do is we can deploy a TensorFlow Lite or a very lightweight models. So as the world is moving towards diffusion models and transformers and so on, So there is definitely a space there. So once the diffusion or transformers comes into like access point or the station, then we'll see the completeness where the AI can manage itself and operate itself, and we have this Agentic AI and so on, which requires more computation. So that's been a challenge in the small boards, but yeah, it would definitely be helpful later. So we are close to 20-30% of utilizing the AI, but there's still a lot of scope. That's my answer.
Thank you.
Hey, can you hear me, Prabhash?
Yeah.
So I think, first of all, it's edge AI versus cloud AI. I think they are very much complementing at the end of the day. I want to just put it that very as a clear thought. Because the most optimization that you can do from a resource perspective, from an inference perspective, is always the cloud, right? Now, coming to your question, is AI really working for the network on the ground, right? If you see from a product perspective, research perspective, yes. But when it comes to the real implementation, there are two factors, and both are human. One is job, and second is the trust. Is still human brain thinks that I can infer better, and I cannot let AI take the decision. Now that's a total trust issue. And second is job saving. Right? I'm hitting the point. These are the two important points which still stops the complete adoption from a 360-degree perspective from the AI. Right? That's what is happening. Now, when you talk about the tech, actually, from a network perspective, if you see, a lot of inference are really making sense. If you see the security, it's bang on. I mean, you see how the AI is able to detect certain threats even before. Those are really human brain cannot, right, infer. Similarly, at the finding the issues at the network layer, collapsing all the events and figuring out the pinpointing the issues in the network. So I think AI is doing better. But again, the factors which I mentioned are still stopping us to completely pull it out. So that's my answer to your question.
Thanks, Anubhav. I think this is a very good answer. I do think there's a human angle also, in these things. Okay, so coming to the next one, right? So where do you see Gen AI in the Wi-Fi stack? So AI has been there, for last so many years, but the Gen AI is the new thing that has become very popular in the last 2-3 years, right? So, how are you integrating this thing in your products?
So when it comes to Gen AI, as I said, right, we started with the CLI, and then we went to, now we are in the UI phase. Now there are chatbots and other stuff, right? So there are multiple machine learning models, right, like decision tree and regression and all of that stuff. And how we are able to identify all these anomalies like port stuck and bad cables, AP health and switch health and all and so on, right? Because of this Gen AI, we are able to do it, right? That is one thing. And the idea behind is to doing all the supervised learning. We have a labeled data, right? As he mentioned that we also collect each and every client metadata every minute, and we do all the computation in the cloud. And now when it comes to Gen AI, we started with, starting with the documentation, just put something and it will give some documents. Now we are asking that, okay, I want to have a top clients for 7 days or failure clients for last 7 days, and it will just give you specific data. So we are in that phase today. But going forward, what I think is, in my opinion, that tomorrow we will go to that chatbot and we will not open the UI also. We will go to the chatbot and we'll say, boss, I am facing I got this alert, I got this action, just go and make the changes. So I don't have to go and toggle to that particular place and make the changes. I will just give a prompt to a chatbot and it will do everything for me. Even human intervention is required there.
Yeah.
But the time